My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. This is the only channel dedicated to UFC fight picks and DraftKings lineups run by MMA insiders and professional fighters. Every week, I join Dan Kramer and Nick Newell, two longtime professional fighters that have fought at the highest levels on the planet, as well as Jacob Lyons, a skinny kid from Indiana. So join us every single week for our full fight card breakdowns, our individual fight card breakdowns, our betting guide, and our DraftKings lineups. Next up at UFC Vegas 35, we have what I think is the most interesting fight of the night. Not the best, not the most exciting, just the most interesting. We have Kevin Lee versus Daniel Rodriguez. Kevin Lee, 18-6 overall, only 2-3 in his last 5. Daniel Rodriguez, 15-2 overall, 4-1 in his last 5, and sort of defying the odds, right? He's been an underdog a few times, and he's come out and he's won those fights. Kevin Lee, man, that dude has had a very rough road. He has had injury after injury. I think he had COVID at one point. He's got 2 completely blown out, miserable knees, and he is now moving up in weight. Kevin Lee is like the most unknown veteran, if that makes any sense. If you look at his record, he has fought everybody, including the current champion, and yet he's just never really in title contention. He's just never there. He's almost there, then loses a big one. Almost there, loses the big one. And again, he's been plagued with injuries. So Kevin Lee has had a really, really rough road. He's coming off a loss to Charles Oliveira, which was bad, but in hindsight, all right, well, look who's the champ now, right? So
it's Charles. It's Charles. He's the champ.
Okay. He's fought every single person in the division. His boxing is pretty good, but he's definitely a grappler. He shines in the grappling. He does have veteran savvy. The bonus of fighting all of these top-ranked guys in the world, even if you're losing, is the veteran savvy. And he does have that. Cardio can be an issue for him at times. Maybe moving up to welterweight, because he is moving up a weight class here, could help. But I imagine he's moving up in weight because his knees are a disaster, and it's probably hard for him to do the running and all of that hard cardio to keep his weight down. So I think he's coming up in weight because his body is beat up, man. This poor guy has had injury after injury, and they've all been significant. Daniel Rodriguez is a very, very good boxer. He picks his shots really, really well. He has good takedown defense. He doesn't have much to offer as far as a grappler is concerned, but he hasn't really needed it, and it may not matter in this fight. His boxing is so crisp. His cardio is on point, mostly because he picks his shots, right? He doesn't come out hammering away and leaning on his cardio. He picks his shot. His boxing is clean, so he doesn't necessarily gas out. I think Daniel Rodriguez will outpoint a very frustrated Kevin Lee in this fight. I know a lot of people are on Daniel Rodriguez, and that actually makes me a little nervous. And even before we started this live stream, the chat was plentiful with people picking Daniel Rodriguez. So it makes me nervous that I'm picking him, but I think his takedown defense is good enough. His boxing IQ is very good. His cardio is good enough. I think he stays away from the much smaller in this fight, Kevin Lee. I know you're a Kevin Lee guy. What do you think?
Yeah, you alluded to my Kevin Lee fondness. I think I'm the only person in the world that actually likes Kevin Lee as a fighter. For whatever reason, it feels like everyone just hates Kevin Lee. I'm not sure why. He is kind of a douchebag, and he lost some fights he probably shouldn't have lost. But I'm really excited to see him at welterweight. That lightweight was a real tough cut for him. He was really, you could tell he was really drained at the end of some of those fights. So I honestly think that this move to welterweight is going to be kind of like the Michael Chiesa move. I think he's going to find some real success here, and I think it's going to start with this fight. Listen, I love Daniel Rodriguez. He's been the underdog. He's won as the underdog. Everyone leading up to this fight was like, Daniel Rodriguez is going to be lock of the week. He's going to be lock of the week. He's going to be lock of the week. It does seem like it's the easy pick against Kevin Lee, but Kevin Lee, honestly, is like one of the most talented dudes in the UFC, like, period, I think. His talent is off the charts. He just hasn't really been able to put it together in certain fights. I really think that the weight cut has been an issue. I think the move to welterweight, we're really going to see the true Kevin Lee. If he can't get this fight to the ground and submit or TKO Daniel Rodriguez, then he's not what I thought he was for sure, but I think he's able to do that. I like Kevin Lee in this fight. Not enough to put him in my lineup. I'm actually kind of surprised that he is a 150 favorite, given what he's done in the past and given how good that Rodriguez has looked. So I don't like the $8,500 price point on him, but I think he finds a way to get to the ground and get to win.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I opened this with this is the most interesting fight on the card. I'm really intrigued by this fight. I mean, Kevin Lee, he has two bad knees, straight up, two bad knees. He's the smaller guy moving up, but Kevin Lee is the more well-rounded fighter here. He has more ways to win. I mean, his hands, he's capable. He's not as good, but he's capable on his feet for sure. He can definitely grapple, and he shines on the ground. Daniel Rodriguez is a boxer who has some takedown defense. I mean, he's not.
And just to mention the takedown defense, Mike Perry took him down twice.
Yeah, but Mike Perry is. You're 100% correct, but Mike Perry is freak strong that it will make up for poor technique. He'll literally
Mike Perry is an undersized welterweight. He's an undersized.
It doesn't matter. He's so freak strong. It doesn't matter. But I listen. I hear you. I'm not.
You look at Kevin Lee.
Kevin Lee's not that strong.
I mean, he's pretty strong. The only issue is
you're going off pictures.
Kevin Lee has had like staph infection on his chest for like 5 years, so we'll see if he's gotten rid of that. But
either way, I mean, this is an interesting fight for a reason. I think Daniel Rodriguez wins because how beat up Kevin Lee is, because Kevin Lee is moving up in weight. I don't think Daniel Rodriguez beats a healthy, appropriately sized Kevin Lee. I mean, I don't think he does. Kevin Lee has more ways to win. He's competent on his feet. He can wrestle. He can grapple.
And he has one of the best KOs of all time against Gregor Gillespie. That head kick was the sound of that echoing was just like conk. Oh, awful.
Yeah. I mean, so I have Daniel Rodriguez here, but it's a very cautious pick. I'm not in the the odds makers got this wrong. They're crazy. How could they do that? I actually think these odds are correct. I'm just picking Daniel Rodriguez for all the reasons that I mentioned. If you take healthy Kevin, healthy Daniel, they're the same size. I think Kevin wins, but that is not the matchup that we have here. And styles make fights. Matchup makes fights. Daniel Rodriguez is in my lineup, 7,700. I would have preferred to spend less than that, but I do have him in my lineup. I have him in the, under $8,000 mark. And I have no idea what to do with this Monkey Knife Fight line. Probably less, honestly, because if Kevin Lee takes him down, I think Daniel Rodriguez is going to have some problems. If it stays standing for that long, Kevin Lee's going to have some problems. So I think less is the play. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm looking at even in a 4-round fight against Dos Anjos, Kevin Lee had 40 total strikes. He lost in the fourth. He got submitted in the fourth round, but that was only 40 total strikes. This will be a little bit different. I could see him standing and banging with Daniel and trying to show off the move to middle or the move to welterweight, maybe trying to show off his power. I could see this going like a kind of a 3-round war and more. So I would probably play the more on this. I think Kevin Lee, his path to victory is takedowns, and he might be one of those where he just kind of gets a takedown at the end of rounds to try and steal rounds, but the rest of the time he wants to stand and bang and kind of prove himself because he is a pretty proud guy. He's a pretty confident, proud guy. So I play the more here, I think.
Well, it's funny because I have my notes, so I do all my research, I watch my tape, I take my notes, I do all that crap, and I have a spreadsheet. I have the fighters' names, I have the notes on each fighter, I have DraftKings, yes or no, then Monkey Knife Fight, more or less, whatever, what bets I have in my pick. I had less on this before I even knew what the line was. So when I saw this line, I'm like,
and I'll back you up on that because Kevin Lee, the last time he got over 74.5 strikes was 2016 in a 3-round decision that he won versus Efrain Escudero.
Oh man, I love Efrain Escudero. He's an Ultimate Fighter alumni and a nurse.
And wait, he a nurse?
Yeah, he was the nurse. I don't remember. He was a good wrestler, Ultimate Fighter alumni. Anyway, we're off topic. I like the less. I didn't play anything yet because they went live. I did the graphics. We're recording. But as soon as we're done recording, I'm going to go ahead and play that. WeOnPicks.com/MKF. You get yourself a free promo. They literally give you free money on your deposit. Use the free money. Play some of these lines. Don't even use your real money. Use the free money. It's literally that simple. No nonsense. Grab yourself some of these lines. I'm going to grab it. And Chris, who sets these lines, are going to leave them for tonight. So if you like it, you think it's wrong, hit it now before it moves.